This lesson is an introduction to the grammar topic of conditionals. We will look at the composition of conditional sentences, in particular the verb forms they contain and the meanings they convey. Note that the term conditional, as understood in this lesson, refers to sentences with two clauses, a main clause and an if clause. So conditional sentences typically contain two clauses, a main clause and a subordinate or dependent clause starting with if. Here are four example sentences. Note that the verb forms in the example sentences in this lesson are red in the main clause and blue in the if subordinate clause. The clauses can be reversed with no change of meaning, as here. Conditional sentences commonly express predictions, conditions, and hypotheses. For example, prediction: if it doesn't rain soon, the fish in our pond will die. Condition: I will help you if you help me. Hypothesis: if he had worked harder, he would have passed the test. In English language teaching, conditional sentences are often categorized according to the combination of verb forms in the two clauses. Here are the sentences from the previous slide again. Remember that the verb forms are as follows: red in the main clause and blue in the if clause. The most common combinations of verb forms are shown here in the four types. These are usually called the zero conditional, the first conditional or conditional 1, the second conditional or conditional 2, and the third conditional or conditional 3. Here are more sentence examples of the four common conditional types. We will be looking at each type in more detail after the quiz. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. The so-called zero conditional has the same tense in the if clause and in the main clause. Most commonly, this tense is the present tense, and such sentences are often used to talk about natural phenomena or general truths. For example, if a stone is dropped into water, it sinks. And if you eat too much, you put on weight. The past tense can also be used in both clauses of an if sentence, as in these two examples. If one thing happened, then in consequence another thing happened. Note that the if in zero conditionals can be replaced by when or whenever. So not all teaching resources include the so-called zero conditional in their coverage of the topic of conditionals in English. The first conditional has the present tense in the if clause and the future with will in the main clause. This sentence pattern is often used when making predictions about consequences. For example, if she comes late to class again, the teacher will call her mother. And if you don't apologize, she will never speak to you again. The first conditional is also used to express a condition. For example, she will forgive you if you give her a bunch of flowers, and I will help you if you help me. Note that it is not always easy to distinguish between conditions and predictions, so just know that the first conditional is used in both cases. The second conditional has two uses. The first use is to express a present counterfactual, a state or action that is currently not true. For example, it is a counterfactual that it is hot today. In fact, it's a cold December morning. It is also a counterfactual that I have a dog and swim every day. Neither of these is true. The second conditional has the past tense in the if clause, which is the counterfactual, and would plus infinitive in the main clause. Here are three examples. I would help you if I had more time. If I were the teacher, I would never set homework. And if I had a dog and swam every day, I would probably be fitter. But I don't have more time. I'm not the teacher, and I neither have a dog nor swim every day. The second use of the second conditional is to state the consequence of an event happening in the future. Two future possibilities are winning the lottery and it snowing tomorrow. The consequences, if these two things happen, are buying a house and staying at home. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house. And if it snowed tomorrow, I would stay at home. Now the important question arises, what is the difference in meaning and use between the first conditional, if it snows tomorrow, I will stay at home, and the second conditional, if it snowed tomorrow, I would stay at home? After all, in both cases, the consequence of snow tomorrow is to stay at home. Well, the difference lies in the likelihood, in the speaker's opinion, of it snowing tomorrow. In wintertime, after it has snowed on several previous days, the speaker perceives the likelihood of snow the next day as high. If, on the other hand, the weather is mild, and it has not yet snowed this winter, then the speaker perceives the likelihood of snow the next day as low. In the first case, the first conditional is used, and in the second case, the second conditional is used. To understand another subtle difference in the two meanings and usages, let's look at the lottery example. The first conditional statement, if I win the lottery, I will buy a house, is a simple assertion about the consequence of winning. There is no implication that the speaker is thinking about the likelihood of winning. On the other hand, the claim, if I won the lottery, I would buy a house, does imply that the speaker is considering the likelihood of winning, namely that it is low, and hence uses the second conditional verb forms, past tense in the if clause and would plus infinitive in the main clause. Here are more examples of the two conditionals in comparison. The context in each case will help to understand why the first or second conditional is chosen. But note that conditional choices are not rules. There is no reason, for example, why the fast runner might not choose the conditional to and the slow runner conditional 1. The third conditional has the past tense in the if clause and would plus the perfect infinitive in the main clause. It is a counterfactual that is commonly used to introduce a hypothesis or prediction about the past. For example, she would have been injured if she hadn't worn a helmet. And if I had studied harder, I would have passed the test. In the first case, the prediction or hypothesis is that the girl would have been injured without a helmet. But she did have a helmet on, so she wasn't injured. In the second case, the prediction or hypothesis is that I would have passed the test with greater effort, but I showed no effort, so I failed. So the four conditional types or if sentence patterns cover a large number of common predictions, conditions, and hypotheses. For this reason, it is worth learning about them as an introduction to this complex grammatical topic. But, and this is very important, the four numbered conditional types are not the only types of if sentence. Learner sites such as English Language Learning are full of questions about the grammaticality of sentences that combine the tenses or verb forms in the two clauses of if sentences in different ways than those in the four numbered conditionals. You will often see these referred to as mixed conditionals. Here are 5 examples of if sentences that do not conform to the verb combinations in the two clauses of the four numbered conditional types. Read the sentences, which are all grammatical, before continuing to the explanations on the next slide. In sentence 1, a prediction, we have a combination of the past tense and future tense. Sentence 2 is a condition with a combination of past tense and the tenseless modal might. Sentence 3 is a promise with two future verb forms. Sentence 4 is a suggestion that combines the present tense and would plus infinitive. Sentence 5 is an explanation that combines the past and present tenses. My advice on this topic is to first learn the if sentence types and their uses that teachers and learning materials name the conditionals 0, 1, 2 and 3. But remember that these represent just a few of the combinations of verb forms in the two clauses of if sentences. So be alert to these other if sentence types and their uses in what you hear and read. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. Okay, you've come to the end of this lesson on conditionals. Here is the important information in summary. In the description below this video, you will find a link to the lesson index page shown on the left. As you can see, there are 4 ways to access the content, as well as a glossary and links to quizzes and more information on the topic.